this butterfly goes in here real nice. So now the task is to carve this little section out and get the butterfly, the bottom side of the butterfly, to fit in that spot. Let's give that a shot. See, let me show you what I've done here so far. So what I've got so far is I've got some real ugly lines here because I laid my pattern down twice. I had to make the pattern bigger the second time because I didn't like how far out the flare was on the butterfly. So I changed the butterfly, and now I have a real wide butterfly. You can see how wide it is. It was narrower than that. Reason being, I only have one butterfly, and I wanted to make it sufficiently strong. So now I've got lines shown where it's the perpendicular line is to this plane, so that I can let the back side of the blade end up on that plane. Put my thumb in the end of this. Now, don't do this unless you don't value your thumbs, but you can see I start off really slow, and then I aim it towards the back, and now you can pull the trigger. And if I want to trim up a little bit, I just raise my thumb up and down, and I can act like a rasp. In doing that, I'm just trying to get that line just as perfect as I can on what the router made. So I got that one down to the bottom. Let's do this other one. Now I'm going to hog it out by trying to go from this edge to that edge, and then from this edge to that edge, and then there's some cleanup in between. So let's see if I can make that right. Perfect. All right. Now, let's see how much work I've got to do on this. This work I do with the mini sander. So what I did there is I pushed this in kind of hard, and that makes indentations on this piece, and that tells me where to sand. So now I'm going to put my fingers on both sides because this will tend to pop this little area off. So I press it on this side when I'm pounding on just on the peg. So you can kind of see this is the compression areas. You see here and here. Real easy to see this one. So these are the areas I need to tune up. So I'm going to tune up. Went in a lot further that time. So now we do the same thing. More compression marks, you see, right here, right there, and down here still. Not much here. See, almost all the way in now. One more time. More compression marks, you see? Same spot, right here, and down here. So we're almost in. That's it. So now, cross your fingers. So I'll put a clamp here in order to hold this plane, and one here to hold that plane, and then I'll drive that in with a rubber mallet with some glue, and then we'll be good to go, because we're good at the back. All right, so that's how that's done, right there. All right, the reason I've put one butterfly in there, my kind of rule of thumb is about a butterfly every 12 inches. And so what this means is, since this is only 24 inches, that gets one butterfly. So because of all of the stress that this is going to get, it has to be a really huge butterfly. So I'm hoping that as I learn, I'll figure out what size butterfly that is. I think this is the size butterfly. Well, time will tell. You know, if I break it, I'll put a bigger butterfly in. That's one of the glorious, easy things about butterflies is you can always go bigger in that spot. So the reason I didn't want to put two butterflies in here, space them a little bit, because this little piece here is all that's holding this whole part together is these sections. And if you start dividing it up, then this little chunk is liable to just break right off. So that is what this piece has a little issue with. There's some cracks in here that make me think that this may be a weak spot for this one too. So who knows, maybe this is just going to break right off. But my experience is that a surface crack doesn't really mean anything in this species because it sits outside for 3.5 years and it will get some surface cracks. I've left a 1/4 inch of the wane. The wane is the round side of the tree, not the cut side. That's the round side. So I've left a little wane on there and trimmed with my saber saw to make a flat surface so that these two pieces book up together real nice. And so so that there's the appropriate gap in between there. And really at this point, I don't really care how big that gap is. I start at a prediction and you get what you get, you know. So it'll look nice when it's done. And now I'm going to move on to this live bark edge that I have to tame down. One of the main problems with this is it harbors bugs and it'll keep flaking off in the house and it generally just looks dirty. So what I like to do is figure out which of these live little spots I want to keep and kind of work around that. This one is too tall because you'll hit your elbow on it. So you really kind of don't want stuff that is, your body kind of makes an image of where the table is, and little things that stick out like this, your body won't necessarily remember, and you'll doink yourself on the elbow. At least that's me. I've done that a couple times. So that has to be shrunk down to maybe 50% that size, and this one as well. And then just taper it into here and taper it into there a little bit, make a nice transition, and straighten this edge so that this is all straight. So there's some work to be done, and let's get to it. So my methodology here is come in with the big gun first. Take as much of this down as you have to in order to not force the little tool to do too much work. Do the flat sanding with the big tool, and then come in with the 1.1/8" sander. And this little 1.1/8" sander I control with this thumb, just like the Sawzall. You control it at the head, and you have to move it this way, and then you have to lean it and move it that way. Otherwise, you'll drop the belt. The belt comes off real easy to change, easy to put back on. It's a real handy little tool, and it will slip the belt out to the edge, and sometimes you can just hit it like that while it's running, and it'll go right back on. So it's a real good tool. And then 180 grit on the 150 Rotex. So I used a combination of the grinder mode to knock down the areas where it's a long flat, and then you have to switch it to rotating in an orbital sander mode to get where you have to run around all edges of these round things that are protruding. So in between there, you kind of can't use the really good part of this sander, which is the Rotex, the grinder part. And these are 180 grit pads that I'm using because they just last a little longer than a 220. And I probably will go over the edge right after the finish goes on and hit it with 220 right through the finish to just kind of burnish the edge a little bit. I'm going to glue this together now, but I don't want to glue it together while it's in this position. I want to have the advantage of laying it on a flat surface so that I can make sure that this leaf is in the same plane as this. And you can't really do that. Even with clamps, it's pretty hard. It can tweak either way, and it takes a considerable amount of force to hold this together. So I'm going to put it on a table where I can clamp it together and maintain its position while I drive in the wedge with the butterfly with some resin on there. And so I have to keep everything perfectly flat. Otherwise, you don't want to do it again. This is what I'll use to make sure I'm flat. See, I'm pretty low here, so I'll shim that up. I'm fussy, I want it to fit right, and so I don't care how long it takes. You only get one chance to glue it right. I think that's right. I'll put on some gloves and mix it up. Then I'll resin the back part of the butterfly after I get the top part cemented in. First part, just get the top of the butterfly, the sides and the main part of the butterfly glued in. With that, I'm going to use 5-minute resin. This stuff is so expensive. $6.50 for 2 gallons. Yeah. It went way up in the last 2 years. And since I assemble everything with 5-minute resin, it's pricey. Okay, so here, I'm going to put glue on all the parts here. But my hand knows which way this thing goes, and I also have a mark right here which way it goes. So now I'm going to get a rubber hammer and see if I can get this in there without making it not flat again. Now's the time to make any adjustments you want to in order to accommodate your thickness. Pretty decent. I might lay 10 pounds right there. I keep these little weightlifting weights left over from when my daughter dated a bonehead. All right, so nothing against weightlifters, just that guy was something else. Okay, so we've got this glued in. Now's the time to fix any of your little joints that need a little resin on them, because you've got a little squeeze out here. Try not to get it inside the crack. And maybe a good time to fill some of the stuff, but there's really not much here, so it's kind of no point. Not much left. That might just go all the way through. Maybe not, we'll see. Okay, so next step is to flip it over and fill in the back anywhere on the back of this butterfly after this is solidified, and I'll come back in 30 minutes and see how we did. If you like the videos, please subscribe. It helps me do more videos and bring more content to more users. Thank you. So I have a lot of little crevasses here. to deal with. They're each going to take up a tremendous amount of resin for a 5-minute resin. So what I might do is, after I clean them out and blow them out, I'm going to fill them with maybe 24-hour epoxy because it's cheaper, and then come in and top off with 5-minute. Man, this 5-minute stuff is just so expensive. So let's probably go around and poke with a sharp tool, see, and listen for any loose parts. Loose parts indicate that you're going to sand through into a tunnel. And if you hear any of that, just break it through, and then you can start doing your fill work. I'm thinking that I might just put in a little turquoise in here. It kind of looks good in these marks. I like to take advantage of them. Not everybody likes turquoise, but I'm not making this for anybody. I'm making it for me. So sometimes you just have to make what you want. And if I end up with too many tables, I might just have a day where I give one away just to make room for more stuff. So stay tuned. I might be giving away a dining room sized table to a lucky viewer. Make sure you sign up and stay tuned. All right, let's see how that looks with the weights off of it. See if we got what we wanted. Yeah, we did. That looks really good. It looks really nice. So we can take all of our braces out. Dogs chew on my hammers. They get everything. They just destroy everything, but I love them. You know, you can't fault them for being a puppy. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. So this is where we're at on the back side. I have a little fill to do, not too bad. It worked out all right. I've still got to straighten this line. That's not quite in line with that. I'll probably cut off a 1/2 inch all the way along in order to make that a real nice straight line. And here I'll cut another 1/2 inch off of this end.